When I talk to Jehovah Witnesses, there's only a few topics that I focus on, and that's the nature of Christ, specifically talking about Colossians 1:16 and 17. In the past 6 years, I've been talking to Jehovah Witnesses, talking about Colossians 1:16, by Him all things created, visible and invisible, in heaven and on earth. And the verse 17, He is before all things. Jehovah Witnesses, they have their own translation, and it's a New World Translation. And they added the word other in Colossians 1:16. In original Greek, the word other does not exist. And they make that claim that it's not an original. If you go to jw.org and you go to New World Translation, Colossians 1:16, you click on the verse 16, they have a notes on the right. The word other, in a way, I'm just paraphrasing, the word other was added by them so that the reader will not confuse Jesus as being uncreated. That's what they say. Jehovah Witnesses, they believe that only God the Father is uncreated, and then He created Jesus as the Michael Archangel, as His first creation, and then through Michael, He created all other things, and this Michael, He is before all other things. Means He was created first, and then by Him all other things were created. The verse 16 doesn't have the word other, and there's a logic behind it, and what happens when you add the word other. So this is what I explained to them, that I believe Jesus is uncreated because He claimed that He created all things. If Jesus was created, He would have to create Himself to claim all things. But He did not create Himself. To say that Jesus created Himself would be foolish. Because they believe that Jesus is created. For them, without the word other, the text doesn't work. Because otherwise, like they stated, that the reader might interpret it as Jesus is uncreated. And the verse 17, He is before all things. Same thing goes for this verse. Because they added the word other. Verse 17, He is before all other things. So they added the other in the verse 17. If the word other was not in 17, because in original there's no word other. Original says that He's before all things. Based on verse 17, there was a moment in God's existence when nothing existed except God. And verse 17, He is before all things. So Jesus, He existed before all things. The only way He can exist before all things is if He was uncreated. If He was created, He would have to exist before Himself, or before His created self, to claim that He is before all things. But Jehovah Witnesses cannot say that He's before all things, because that would mean, if they believe He is created, He would have to exist before His created self. But there would be a logical collapse there. So that's why they can't accept it without the word other. When they added the word other, it changed the nature of Christ from uncreated to a created being. In Colossians 1:16, without the word other, the only option you have is Jesus is uncreated. Only then He creates all things. But if Jehovah Witnesses, they believe Christ is created, without the word other, Christ would have to create Himself to claim all things created. But that would be logically impossible to say that Christ created Himself. But they believe Jehovah created Jesus, Michael the Archangel, and then through Michael the Archangel, He created all other things. So Jesus creating all things is not going to work for them, because they believe that Jesus was created. And on their notes, they do say that in a way that the word other is not in original Greek. And when they say, when a person reads without the word other, they might interpret it as Jesus, He's uncreated creator Himself, that He created all things, being uncreated Himself. I'm paraphrasing what they said, but in essence, that's what they said. So they do affirm that without the word other, logically, a reader will interpret it that Jesus is uncreated. So the people who added the word other in their religion, they use logic and reason, and they understood why they had to add the word other, and they do understand the reader's mind, how they would interpret it without the word other. And this is the topic that I talk to them about. And they usually go to Colossians 1:15, that he's the firstborn of all creation. And they say that the firstborn is created, like God, Jehovah, created Jesus as a first creation. And I tell them that the firstborn is not created. The firstborn is the title in Jewish thinking. So King James says he's the firstborn of all creature. So if I own the house here, I am the owner of the house. And the firstborn, all it means is Christ existed before all creation, and by him all things created. Therefore he's the owner of all created things. If Christ was created, he would be the owner of himself. There would be a logical collapse there. John 1:3 says, all things were made by him, and without him not anything made that was made. So we don't have the word other in John 1:3. In their translation, the New World Translation, they don't have the word other in John 1:3. But John 1:3 says, without him nothing was made that was made. If Jesus was made, then without Jesus, the Jesus would not be made. If without him nothing was made that was made, then he is creator of all things, and he is uncreated himself. If Jehovah's Witnesses say that Michael the Archangel, Jesus, if he was made, then John 1:3, Jesus had to make that Jesus in order to claim that without Jesus, nothing was made that was made. There's some logic to it, but they did not add the word other in John 1:3. So John 1:3 and Colossians 1:16, in the New World Translation, they would disagree. They tried to fix Colossians 1:16 by adding the word other, but they did not fix John 1:3. And I asked Jehovah's Witnesses, if you take the word other away from Colossians 1:16, would that change anything? And almost every time they said no, it would not change their beliefs. Then another question is, if it doesn't change the belief, why did you add the word other? Because the Bible said something about adding words to scriptures. So if it doesn't change anything, why add the word other? Why add words to the text? And so far, they did not provide it a logical reason. All they say is, well, because Jesus, he's created. So the word other kind of helps them interpret the verse properly. Because they say, look, Colossians 1:15, he's the firstborn, he's created. And because of this firstborn, because of their view of 1:15, they changed the text in 1:16. Again, original text doesn't have the word other, but if your interpretation makes you change scriptures, it's not the scriptures that's wrong, it's their interpretation. Because of their interpretation of Colossians 1:15, they had to add the word other to the verse 16 and 17. But the problem with that is, it's not that the Bible is wrong, it's their interpretation is wrong, because they had to add text to support their interpretation. But in Greek, the firstborn is the title, it's not first created. And the verse 16, by him all things created, does not allow you to interpret 1:15, the firstborn, as created. The only option you have is the Jewish way, that this is the title. The Mormons also believe that Jesus was created, and they go to the same text in Colossians 1:15, the firstborn, because the Mormons, they believe that Heavenly Father and Mother, they produced Jesus, literally. So that's where Jehovah's Witnesses and the Mormons have in common. They go to the same text, Colossians 1:15, the firstborn, to prove that Jesus was created. But in Jewish thinking, the way Jews interpret the firstborn, it's the title. It means the firstborn inherits all things. That's the only interpretation you can have, because Colossians 1:16, by him all things created, does not allow you to interpret 1:15 as if he was created. The only option you have is he's uncreated, and that's the title. So thank you for watching the video, and you have a blessed day.